Smart 24, driving business.
Hello, good evening and welcome to Business Edition. My name is Masika Tsime. This is a weekly roundup where we'll give you the top stories that have made it in this week. Stick around, we have more. With Business Edition, we start off with investment and business resilience as Uganda hosted the Business and Investment Summit that brought together East Africa in regard to economic development. Now, the East African Business Council and regional states were in anticipation, and of course, with the tropical issues regarding trade policies, investment, incentives, infrastructure development, and of course, among others. Now, still provided with the mentioned factors addressed, the trans-African trade is the ultimate goal in attempt to exploit a bigger market.
Intra-regional trade in East Africa has shown resilience and is currently standing at 24%. Nevertheless, we have to be mindful of the challenges that lie ahead. For a long time now, standards, infrastructure challenges, trade barriers, and access to finance, among other challenges, have been bombarding the East African community when it comes to trade practices. In pursuit of unlocking immense potential in business collaboration and economic growth within the East African region, earlier today, ESC, in collaboration with the East African Business Council, have unveiled the Business and Investment Summit, which is to take place from 31st August to 1st September 2023. This is going to be used as a key driver to improving trade practices and betterment of investment for increased prosperity in the region.
It is an opportunity for businesses, entrepreneurs, and investors to explore potential collaborations that will drive economic growth and prosperity for our beloved region. Let us seize the opportunities that lie ahead, embrace collaboration, and work hand in hand to foster a conducive business environment that promotes prosperity for all.
Be supplying milk to Kenya and the entire region because they have that comparative advantage. They have competitive advantage. No any other country in the region will outcompete Uganda in terms of dairy products. So what we are doing at the ABC is through our evidence-based research to show our policymakers that what we are doing has an impact, a detrimental impact on the welfare of East Africa. It's not Uganda losing, it's Kenyan losing, because when you restrict the Ugandan milk to access Kenyan market, who are you penalizing? You're not penalizing the Ugandan producers. You're also penalizing Kenyan consumers because it's going to be expensive to import dairy products from the rest of the world because they are high taxes, 100% from the rest of the world.
I think means a lot as far as the manufacturers are concerned, because whenever we have such fora, there is a lot to be discussed in relation to business and trade. I'm very sure this kind of engagement will bring a lot of solutions to a number of issues that could be hindering growth.
As we embark on the journey to boost trade, confronting economic hardships head-on with determination and joint efforts, the region can overcome these challenges to create seamless business operations. Bronya Katsime, Smart 24 TV.
Now, our next story is regards to people who are actually involved with media houses, and of course, members of parliament, together with journalists, have protested President Museveni's decree and directing all accounting officers to channel advancements through government entities, UBC and New Vision. Now, according to the legislators, the decision is bound to cripple privately owned media entities, yet they employ numerous Ugandans. Let's have a look.
While President Museveni is on course to meet the National Association of Broadcasters over the segregative decree on advertisement, a section of opposition parliamentarians have contested the proclaimed move, voicing support for private media organizations that have threatened to boycott all government functions. Advertisement is one of the key sources for media revenue, and government has over time been a prime source. The decision has thus been called unconstitutional and detrimental to the media industry.
The media personalities and the people who work in the media, they are all Ugandans who contribute to the tax base, who have a right to benefit from the work that they do. So that for the president to come up and issue a directive and discriminate between media platforms that have been serving the country and actually do serve the entire country without segregation is unconstitutional.
You know, Uganda has adopted the liberal economy. And right now, each and every individual is free to practice and to start the television stations, radio stations, whether print, everything is quite free in this country. But the way His Excellency is moving, I think, is towering a very dangerous directions.
On March 6, 2023, the President, through a statement to the Prime Minister, instructed all government agencies to solely utilize the state-owned media for advertising, which was implemented by the Permanent Secretary to the Ministry of Finance on July 10, 2023, receiving widespread dispute from the media houses. In response, the President is set to meet the leadership of the National Association of Broadcasters on August 10th to discuss the settlement of the dispute.
I think they have also appealed the President, who has offered to have a meeting with them on the 10th of August. So if there are discussions, because we have been discussing with NAB with a view of appreciating how we shall implement the guidance from the President without injuring the interests of the private media. That's the discussion, the engagement.
Honorable Chris Bariomonsi, the Minister for ICT and National Guidance, further urges calm, confirming that the matter is still under consultation and the final outcome shall be communicated in due course.
Interpretation by the private media, they seem to have taken it that it means they will not get any support from government. We have been discussing it as a Ministry of Information with the National Association of Broadcasters. I don't think it is a sign of wisdom to be discussing something and then you start using blackmail, that you boycott the functions of government. Unless they also say we should boycott the discussions which we are having. So it's a matter which is being discussed.
Government remains the biggest advertiser among media houses. With the implementation of the directive, media houses are certain of a tremendous drop in revenue with already limited sourcing avenues. Stuart Jacon, Smart 24 Television.
Uganda's Premier Robina Nabanja asked Italian industrialists to take advantage of Uganda's potential, ruling them to incentives and an enabling investment climate. Now, in the same regard, Uganda Investment Authority tipped them on the various trade protocols, such as the East African Community, the African Free Continental Free Trade Area, and commerce that are quota-free. Now, Nabanja held the meeting with Consortium in Milan, who linked in promoting skill development and establishing youth training centers locally.
Leading a Ugandan delegation comprising of the Executive Director of Uganda Investment Authority, Dr. Robert Mukiza, and other technocrats to convince Italian investors to come to Uganda, Prime Minister Honorable Nabanja has met industrialists in Milan, appealing to them about the robust investment climate in Uganda.
Uganda is a developing country, and Uganda is ready for investment. We have a number of policies that favor the investment. One of the policies that we have, he will be telling you all this in detail, is how to support our investment or our investors who come to invest in our country. It's a big policy, the incentives involved, and many other things. Then two, we have created an enabling environment for investment to flourish. Peace and security. We have invested in energy. Like she already told me that some of your companies are in partnership with us. We have a young population that is well skilled. The population of Uganda is composed of the young people who have gone to school, though they still lack employment, who can easily be skilled to do whatever we need to do. And then three, we have the best weather in the world. The best weather.
60% of what we do is in Africa, and 40% is in sub-Saharan Africa. Our Prime Minister has, I think, reaffirmed our strong bond with your continent. And I can tell you that we are reminded every day that we need to support investment in Africa a lot more than we have done in the past.
Green investment with cheapest labor costs and quota-free markets of the East African Community, African Continental Free Trade Zone area and COMESA have been used as bargaining chips to utilize the billions of dollars in investment from Italy.
Rain, really confusing weather. but that means investment in green investment is very critical globally. Uganda is the second most biodiverse country in the world. Second most biodiverse. So the opportunity for green investments in our country is absolutely huge. So you and tapping onto your skills, your technology, your innovation, green investment is going to need that, and you have that in Uganda. But also, again, we're talking about profits. Uganda has the lowest labor costs in East Africa. So once you come, set up your factory, you'll still have the lowest labor costs. So we are now talking to you as an industrialist. You'll make money, you'll not pay a lot in costs for labor. Uganda is part of the East African community. So when you are based in Uganda, you can access East Africa. And I want to just update your figures a bit, Mr. Cheko. DRC joined Uganda, so now there are 300 million people in East Africa. So Kenya, Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania, South Sudan, DRC. Once you are domiciled in Uganda, you can access these markets quota-free and tariff-free. So remember, those are 300 million people. But we're also a member of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. So soon, once the technocrats finish their discussions, you have a $3.5 trillion economy. You can access 1.3 billion people quota-free and tariff.
Investors have subsequently relinquished their financial influence, which should pique Uganda's interest. Italy is one of the major European trade markets for Uganda, with coffee a key component despite previous questionable investment partnerships with players such as Vinci Coffee. Ronana Habwe, Smart 24 TV.
Away from that, let's look at the local startups in our country, very own Uganda. Now, the local startup ecosystem has called for a Startup Act as an instrument to support development of innovative firms. Now, in 2021, players in the startup space called for similar provision in the national startup policy. While the union is in the final stages out of the regulatory impact assessment report, and approval processes, the Trade Minister offered support to the cause as majority of local businesses are within the fragile SMEs bracket.
As of now, 99% of the financial support that come into the country to support the entire startup ecosystem in the country comes from foreign direct investment, which is too expensive because even other African countries are facing the same. Now, startups in Uganda are saying that there is a need for an enabling law that will give shape for the entire startup ecosystem, that will also give confidence to the foreign investors to come and invest in the entire ecosystem in the country.
There is need for a law to both protect but also provide appropriate incentives regime to spur the establishment, growth and sustainability of startups in Uganda, to enable them scale, to enable them to become competitive, and to prevent talent flight and attract more investments into the startups ecosystem sector.
Well, first and foremost, there is no formal definition or understanding of what a startup is in Uganda's context. So if we were to have a law policy, the expectation is that that is one of the things to be addressed therein. Secondly, is to create an enabling environment for such startups to thrive, which should speak to the nature of incentives that they receive to enable them compete on a global scale. We have seen that the countries, African countries which have this law, have been able to grow more successful startups that are attracting a lot more in foreign investment in comparison to ours.
The startup ecosystem in Uganda was ranked the 4th in East Africa and 96th in the whole world, and it saw an increase in 2023, as well as jumping 5 spots in the previous year, outranking Angola. And now the National Parliamentary Youth Forum in the Parliament of Uganda, Honorable Okot Boniface, is saying that there is a need for a legislative incentive to protect the whole idea around the startup ecosystem in the country.
And certainly, we want to set up a legislative incentive, a legislative framework, a legislative environment to protect these ideas. Because we have a situation where Uganda does not have a proper model of registering these businesses. We do not have a good way to classify these businesses. So what is happening? Countries in the EU, countries in the Americas are instead taking away there's capital flight. There's flight of our ideas, of our professionals. They are going ahead to register companies, startup companies in countries that recognize startups as they are.
In a bid to have a thriving startup ecosystem in the country, there was a formation sharing workshop that was giving ideas on how to formulate the Startup Act in the country. Pedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV.
Well, earlier this week, SMEs were angry following the delay by the National Bureau of Standards in regards to their certification. Now, despite signs of remarkable growth in this sector, such as rising manufacturing credit, the outcry of SMEs is a reminder about the potential ramification of regulation challenges on enterprise growth.
Data from the Q1 release of the financial year 2023-2024 indicates that the private sector stock credit grew by 0.32%, with manufacturing as a sector denominating with 371 billion shillings, implying that many Ugandans have been borrowing from banks to sustain or start up manufacturing enterprises. Is the market there? Will they survive?
We have seen manufacturing, personal and household loans, trade and building, construction and real estate accounting for the largest share of the credit extended to private sector. That is at 23.8%. So banks are lending more to manufacturers, personal and household those who want personal loans.
Something that we are highly supportive of. We are aware of the fact that there are so many challenges that have impacted the private sector, given over the years that they have not been able to compete fairly. So if there are ways government can be able to come in to still strengthen their that sector to ensure that it can boost the local and small firms that are trying to gain access to credit to also compete outside with other manufacturing companies. Because most of the challenge has been is that there have been bigger firms that have come in and outcompeted them. So there is need to ensure that this can be put at a leveling ground to ensure that we enhance more of the different private sector enterprises that are out there trying to do this manufacturing and production. Yeah.
A painful story. An SME who still lacks a Q mark from UNBS even after going through the dual process of certification. I have proof of her products constantly being removed from the shelves of supermarkets just because she lacks the very thing. I have reliable information of the same thing happening to 200 other SMEs in this very country. Remember, these are SMEs who borrow loans at interest rates as high as 28%. They have people employed under their value chain, and the government itself is losing through taxes.
We were privileged to be enrolled under PSFU sponsorship certification. They reached out and were very grateful. That is last year in November. And they've taken tests, they have audited, and they've reached the last stage of releasing the permit. However, the permit is not released, and then UNBS goes into the market and removes our products from the shelves of a supermarket. Do you know what it takes to get an order from these big supermarkets? It takes, small businesses know how much it takes for you to get an order from such a supermarket. But now if a government parastatal comes and removes the product from the shelf of a supermarket, man, you might remember this product is tested and it has passed. But you come and remove it from the shelf of a supermarket simply because the funder has not cleared. Does it really make sense to anyone? Now, if you are on loans and you're trying to recover from COVID-19 effects, you're just struggling to recover. And then something like this, it is not easy to get market even in the supermarkets. It's not easy. Unless a product is packed very well and you're good at marketing, you can easily access it, but which most SMEs really are not privileged to. So if you have such an opportunity of getting the market, the local supermarkets, and your products on the local supermarket, and then something like this, someone comes and just pulls it out, really, do you know how much that means?
This is a call to action to UNBS and other concerned parties to harmonize the situation before these SMEs encounter losses they cannot even redeem. That is, if they are even redeemable. I'm Nuna Nahabwe.
Well, that marks the end of our first part of Business Edition. Do stick around for the next part.
Smart 24, driving business.
Luxury redefined at Seasan Hotel as you indulge in the splendor of elegant living fit for the royalty that you are. Step into comfort, pampering and blissful customer-centric service as you select from our range of comfy, exquisite living quarters furnished to meet with your royal preference. Surrounded by scenic beauty, our tropical setting allows you to escape the glamorous ordeal of city life. Our ambient green gardens will guide you to a place of revitalizing rest. The 3-star restaurant caters to your palate, serving your choice menu ranging from exotic cuisines to local delicacies. Our chefs will serve you full course meals for a truly out-of-this-world culinary experience. Our fully stocked bar to whet your throat, from renowned global brand whisks, brandies, gins, beers and wines to our locally celebrated beverages, you will not lack for any brewage. It's an all-new experience in the East at CSUN Hotel, so visit today at Plot 15 to 19 Spire Road, Ginger, or contact us on +256 751 719 960 and +256 785 354 614 for reservations. CSUN Hotels, luxury redefined.
If you want to find class in Nairobi, look no further.
Toast to luxury. Cheers to that, baby. We run this city. Period. You're more Kenyan than all other Kenyans. Najaribu sana.
Who said I'm bringing drama? I brought the shade.
You brought it.
I'm here and I'm very comfortable.
Party.
I am not leaving. It's not your party.
Gambe sobugabi dungaza MTN Freedom Bundles ezetine bukomo nyega star M00 star 2 hash ninga my MTN app ahabwa bundles nyamwingi twena hamwe tine chukuturema.
Say goodbye to paperwork and travel costs. Now every MTN customer can register to invest in securities anytime and anywhere with Zabu in a few simple steps. Step 1. Dial *292 hash. Step 2. Select option 1. Register with Zabu. Step 3. Enter your full names. Step 4. Enter your national identification number. Step 5. Enter your national identification card number. In 24 hours, you will receive an SMS confirming your registration. Congratulations, you are now ready to invest. Smart 24, driving business.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. You're still watching Business Edition with me, Mercy Katsime, here to give you the weekly roundup, just in case you missed out on last week. Now, beginning with Uganda Manufacturers Association that partnered with Uganda Insurance Association, NCBA Bank and URA to enforce insurance and ease access to loaning using insured securities. Now, addressing quality assurance, tariff barriers and other hindrances are among a number of factors under scrutiny to improve export capacity and competitiveness in the region.
As a crucial contributor, accounting for 30% of the country's revenue, the manufacturing industry still grapples with a number of challenges, from tariff barriers, issues related to quality and standards. Additionally, there is also a gap between investment in the sector and more needed value addition on the products produced.
Compared to their previous charges of certification to the point of getting a mark. So, one of the areas that we are looking about for improvement would be to harmonize see that our industry or the sector may not go as far as paying abnormous charges, and yet we are losing the competitive advantage across the region.
Now, against that background, we have identified 5 big issues to address for purposes of turning around the economy. To begin with is that at WUMA we recognize that 70% of our membership is SME, and we know that these SMEs were distorted by COVID-19, and therefore they need to recover. Government of Uganda got money in excess of 200 billion. It is stuck in the banks because the SMEs are not borrowing. So one of the conversations that we have put on table now is how to use this money so that we recover the economy.
Nevertheless, the Uganda Manufacturers Association has joined forces with key stakeholders in the sector, such as the Uganda Insurers Association and NCBA Bank. This strategic partnership is aiming to address most of the challenges with great emphasis on simplifying ways which manufacturers can access finances.
The manufacturing sector accesses financing from banks. The banks want guarantees that the credit they are forwarding or advancing to the manufacturing sector is backed by securities that are insured. There is no bank that will offer a credit facility to a businessman without understanding the risk profile and how they are managing their risk internally. A bank will ask for collateral, but that collateral will most likely be insured, and that is the role of insurance.
We continue grappling with same problems in Uganda. This time around, we thought that as Uganda Manufacturers Association, we start doing it differently by addressing growth in the economy, so that once the economy grows, then taxation becomes a very simple matter because the base will be big, and if each one of us contributes, it will be easier for government to raise revenue.
Trying to grow the tax base so that, as you said, we don't squeeze the members right here who are helping to develop Uganda. What we are doing in line to that is we are continuing with our strategy of digitalization. You must have seen the Mpa City Yange that we are running with. You must have seen the Because of You that we are doing to try and build a social contract with our taxpayers. You must have seen the digital stamps that we're trying to do. How is that helping the taxman? We are trying to get information. The more information we get about the players in the market, the better for us.
The sector has also been highly capital intensive to enhance its capacity for exports. This indicates its promise to fuel economic growth in the country once fully supported, given its contribution of job creation, more revenue and attracting investors in the country. Brenya Katsime, Smart 24 TV.
Well, for those that are interested or are into agriculture, now this is for you. Now, agro experts have emphasized promotion of robust domestic trade for organic ecology zone-based products before shifting attention to international markets. Now, according to Perum, Uganda, whose focus is on ecological land use and management, government needs to enforce certification owing to the fact that global markets are attracted to certified organic products, an expensive avenue as for now.
According to data from the Ministry of Agriculture, the global demand for organic products has increased and is estimated to reach at $135 billion in 2021, up from $15.6 billion in 2016. But you can imagine the Uganda's market share on that money is only 5%. Where is the missing link? Pelam Uganda is saying that most of the export market is focused on expensive certified products, whereby most farmers in Uganda do not reach. And our agricultural experts are saying that it's time we enhance our domestic market before we turn our attention to the global market.
We believe that agroecology is one way that is going to reduce the consumption of unhealthy foods, but also allow our farmers to access a premium price locally or regionally. The export market focuses more on certified organic products. We all know that certification by third parties is quite expensive, and government is doing very limited efforts to ensure that our products are certified third party to penetrate into the international markets.
However, there are so many parts in Uganda that are already demanding fruits that are healthy and organically or agroecologically produced. Let's develop the local market first. Let's supply to the local market first. Let's ensure that the local market is appreciating the health.
According to the study that was conducted by NOGAM, it reveals that the Ugandan demand for organic products has also increased up to 10%. But of course, if you look at some of the statistics here, they're saying that the global organic food market is expected to grow at 14.59% per annum to reach $368.94 billion in 2026. That's according to a report from Report Linkup. But now the question is, will this certification process help us to reach there?
Most of our farmers are mixed. They practice the conventional agriculture and also the organic agriculture. So they end up mixing the tools they are using in the both farms, which is not acceptable in organic. They end up compromising the organic integrity, which is also not acceptable. So it is hard for them to maintain the span of the certificate, because once we find that, it is automatically revoked.
The certification is a lot of money that smallholder farmers cannot afford. Let's start with you. Don't you want some very healthy tomatoes? Everyone needs healthy tomatoes, needs healthy vegetables, healthy fruits, healthy everything. The issue of trust and culture within Africa is already very clear, and it works on its own by tradition. Let's go by that as certification number one. But there are also other cheaper systems, such as the participatory guarantee systems, where groups of farmers create systems within themselves that can develop group certification processes that are not so expensive, that consumers can use to ensure that products are healthy as claimed by the farmers that are producing.
Just there are big problems when it comes to the certification of these organic products in Uganda to hit the international market. Still, these products have been contributing to the growth of the Uganda's GDP, like the statistics showing that the organic exports increased from 9.6 billion to 16 billion in 2003 and 2004, before jumping to 59.5 billion in 2007 and 8, and by 2010 and 11 it has increased to 109.6 billion. That's how the organic product market is contributing to the Uganda's gross domestic production. Bedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV.
Well, I guess most of you have been wondering on how they're going to go about infrastructure, roads that are poorly in your area, but then I have a full report for you today. Stick around. So a section of members of parliament on the Parliamentary Committee of Physical Infrastructure protested at the decision by the Minister of Finance to bypass the Uganda Road Fund and instead directly disperse money to local governments. Now remember, the Roads Fund mandate in part involves expediting such decisions of roadworks. Now the Finance Minister, however, indicates that the decision follows the cabinet approval.
This financial year, each district was allocated 1 billion shillings for road maintenance and rehabilitation, and Parliament directed that this money goes through the road fund. Ministry of Finance has, however, dispersed some monies to districts, but the money went through local councils, which some MPs have protested.
I've gone through the Uganda Road Fund. because Uganda Road Fund has clear guidelines on utilization and breaching the gaps for corruption, because this money, when it goes direct to the district without our input, that's when it's in Toroko now. I don't know what they did. We are out. So I don't know which plans, which roads they have planned. So Uganda Road Fund creates the committee where I sit as an individual. It's easier for me to monitor. First of all, be in preparation, be in plan of preparing which roads to prioritize the roads, drawing of plans, approval. So monitoring is easier for me.
Honorable Chair, if this 1 billion comes to our area, in our districts, what we had in our minds is to solve the bottlenecks, the roads that are not in good condition. And now when you look at the strings that have been tied by the Ministry of Works and Finance and the rest, you will find that 1 billion in Chegegwa district, you may end up working on either 1 road or 2 roads or 3 only. And it will not bring any impact. And people will just say, you see, this money is just eaten and no work done. And we have been using Uganda Road Fund. Members of Parliament have been sitting on this committee, and no corporate and work has been going on very well, and we have achieved a lot.
According to members of Parliament, some of the districts which have received this money do not have a work plan, yet if this money was going through the road fund, it wouldn't be the case. The legislators say local councils are fond of misappropriating this money, and oftentimes they do not want to involve the legislators who are the overseers of these monies.
If we have guidelines set, consultations must be made. I don't know whether the guidelines that were made in May 2023, there were consultations. But even then, Mr. Chair, the guidelines clearly state that members of Parliament, I mean the roads committees, district road committees, must be involved in making priorities and approving the work plan. The work plan is a management tool. Here we are, when you look at the status of implementation of the guidelines, Mr. Chair, it is clear that money has been already given to even entities that have not submitted.
The Finance Minister, Honorable Matia Kasaija, has however informed the committee that as Cabinet they decided that the 1 billion shillings goes direct to the districts and be monitored by the Roads Committee on which MPs sit. He has also informed the MPs that because of budget constraints, they have only been able to disperse 28 billion shillings for road equipment.
I don't know, because I'm also a member of Parliament, as you know. All members of Parliament should be members of the Road Committee, chaired by the members of Parliament, not the LC5 chairman or something like that. So I really don't know why this matter is an issue. Districts without equipment. My colleague will make a statement on this. I'm already under instructions by the President to work with some district. Yes. Can I repeat? I am already under instructions by the President.
Speaker Mong directed the Committee of Physical Infrastructure to assess why the budget for road fund keeps reducing each financial year, yet roads play a vital role in the economy of this country. The committee's report is expected to be tabled on the floor of Parliament tomorrow during plenary time. Sam Lanifa, Smart 24 TV.
Business edition goes for a short breather. We shall be back with a final part. Do stick around.
2024, driving business.
This is Jordan. When it comes to classwork, Jordan is magic. Jordan shines. Jordan makes his peers better. Jordan is a true leader. White Star Magic family. Be a leader. Be magic.
Waliwo abagamba nti okuyiiya emizannyo si muzannyo. Olina okwewaayo n'okukkiririza ennyo mu kyoyiiya. Olina okubaayo n'omuntu akuyambako. Naye olowooza omuntu ng'ekyo kimuli mu musaayi ebyo bimulya. Anti aba yazaalibwa kukola ekyo. Tega Pearl Magic Prime ne Pearl Magic Loco. Sigala ng'oyungiddwako olabe engero zaffe ennyuvu nga bikoleddwa mu ngeri eyaffe ey'ekinnansi.
Say goodbye to paperwork and travel costs. Now every MTN customer can register to invest in securities anytime and anywhere with Zabu in a few simple steps. Step 1. Dial *292#. Step 2. Select option 1. Register with Zabu. Step 3. Enter your full names. Step 4. Enter your national identification number. Step 5. Enter your national identification card number. In 24 hours, you will receive an SMS confirming your registration. Congratulations, you are now ready to invest. Smart 24, driving business.
Welcome back from that commercial break. We're always glad to have you on Business Edition. And don't forget, my name is Masika Tsimi to give you the information that you would have missed out in the week. Now, starting off with those that are into market, the Uganda Export Promotion Board, in partnership with Trade Facilitation Office of Canada and the International Islamic Trade Finance Corporation Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, actually urged exporters to follow export capacity grid and develop competitiveness on the international market. Now, in turn, local exporters have rallied the government to speed up organic certification process to ensure that their products attract value.
Uganda primarily exports agriculture products comprising 80% of total exports. The key export items are coffee, gold, tea, cotton, copper, oil and fish. Major export partners include Sudan, Kenya, DRC Congo, Netherlands, Germany, South Africa and the United Arab Emirates. According to data from the Uganda Export Promotion Board, exports for financial year 2022-2023, that is to say from July 2022 to May 2023, reached $4.8 trillion with an estimated value of $573.57 billion for June in 2023. Uganda Export Promotion Board, the Trade Facilitation Office of Canada, and the International Islamic Trade Finance Corporation have discussed incorporating practices to meet international market demands. With a focus on timely quality delivery, exporters are urged to improve export capabilities and eliminate unnecessary aspects in their trade. Markets in Germany and Cairo have already been secured.
Means to address the issue of time, especially when we are talking about export. Export is not about dealing with the Ugandans, it's about dealing with the rest of the world. And other part of the world, they do respect time. Before you dive into the manual, it's better you first work on your timing. And through this manual, we have been able to train 50 district commercial officers and other key institutions that are supporting the SME.
There are certain things they need to begin doing more. There are certain things they need to begin doing differently to enable the product or the company or the individual to excel. So it is specific to the company, it is specific to the product.
With trade, companies do business. And therefore it is incumbent and very paramount that the government invests in marketing itself. That the government invests in marketing its products. And no one will do it for you.
The right time. At the particular time you want that's the time you want it. So for you, as somebody who supplies or exports, you must ensure that this product actually reaches that place at the right time. These fellas don't want to say, oh, I missed the flight, or my suppliers didn't supply. That is your business.
Exporters also emphasize government's role in accelerating the organic certification process to enhance competitiveness and increase market value for their products. Additionally, they seek intervention to address the issue of shippers reportedly claiming 60% of exporters' profits.
Because most of us know that the world out there, Europe out there, needs products that are organic. In our own statistics, the country smallholder farmer does not use a lot of fertilizer or even fertilizer like our counterparts within East Africa. Take the case of Kenya. So our production at the value chain node of production still remains a given that our farmers are producing organic. Now, we as SMEs are also buying from these farmers and processing organic. But we have no organic certification.
For that opportunity we had gotten in, to supply hibiscus in Germany, they were offering 1 kilo of hibiscus, which is conventional, which is non-organic. They were offering $3 per kilo. However, they put a condition that if your hibiscus is organic, then they were offering $12. You see how much we are missing. And Uganda as a country, I really wanted it to come out during this strategy of export, that Uganda as a country, our niche is first of all agriculture, which is our backbone, but we have to go extra mile and have that niche of organic products because our farmers are organic by default.
You know, when you go on the market, it doesn't mean they are going to follow you and take each and everything and say bring containers. It is a step by step. They will take one container, then as you get more motivated, you get more money and you increase stock.
Fostering a conducive business environment, streamlining certification processes, and addressing issues like timely delivery and fair shipping costs will contribute to the country's economic advancement and enhance its position in the international trade arena. Rona Nahabwe, Mary Towali.
Lastly, we are going to shift our eyes to southwestern part of Uganda, that is Kisoro, Bite, Muraho. Now, Kisoro is petitioning government to evaluate Uchuye, a central forest reserve renowned for its rich in bird life and, of course, one of the few tropicals into the national park. Now, the call is aligned to the fact that the National Reserve can support tourism amidst conservation provided it's put under oversight of Uganda Wildlife Authority. Lately, the reserve has been highly encroached on by the neighboring communities that rely on bamboo for wood fuel. Kisoro has undertaken promotion of sustainable energy use in a bid to limit encroachment on Ichuya Central Forest Reserve. The reserve, one of the few tropical rainforests, is home to 150 bird species, with 18 of them only exclusive to it, including the elusive gull swamp warbler commonly found in Bwindi and Dira Sea. Currently, Kisoro District Vice Chairperson reveals that the council approved a motion to support upgrade the Central Forest Reserve into a national park, a move to conserve biodiversity and promote tourism.
As a district, we made a resolution that this game reserve should be gazetted. Once it is gazetted, we also, in our resolution, we also made some requests that once it is gazetted, they should be brought in some chimpanzees. You know, chimpanzees will attract the tourists. You know, the tourists, they like tracking gorillas.
Nature Uganda's Conservation Director, Ginny Muhebwa, informs that efforts for conservation include provision of energy-saving stoves to neighboring communities has been implemented to reduce reliance on wood fuel, a major factor for encroachment on the forest.
We are working with these communities to plant trees on their own land. That's agroforestry. These can be trees for fruits and so on and so forth. So they have to plant trees. But again, these are the very trees that can help them get firewood so that they don't come to the forest. 3, we are supporting them with energy-saving stoves so that they reduce the number of times they come here.
Joseph Sekoko, the chairperson of Kanaba Sub-County, noted that Echuya's forest was previously known for its abundant bamboo trees, but due to degradation, numbers have declined. He believes that upgrading the forest into a national park will facilitate the restoration of these rare elements and induce collateral benefits.
Twatunga ejo nanka protection yaba gazetted ikabe national park. If
at all we're given that protection, the park is gazetted, we believe that both animals and us will be safe. In that case, it will attract tourists who will bring in some revenue.
Beneficiaries of the conservation efforts expressed their transformed perception towards the environmental conservation as energy-saving stoves were primarily availed in the light of this concern.
These energy-saving stoves are really doing good services. My wife doesn't complain, anyone, because once we come from the garden, the food is ready and still warm.
Western Uganda remains one of the key tourism attraction areas, with sites as Mugahinga, Lake Bunyonyi important to tourism. Call for elevation of Ichuya Central Forest Reserve serves as a reminder to the essence of biodiversity and protection. Well, that brings us to the end of Business Edition. Do care to join us every Sunday at 8 p.m. My name is Basi Katsime. Always do stick around. Have a good evening.
Smart 24, driving business.
Saving or securing for the future does not only mean investing in stocks, real estates or companies, but there are so many chances of becoming a billionaire through practicing agriculture. You don't need a very big plot of land or large capital to start, but slowly by slowly you can build an empire. Uganda's economy is made up of agriculture, services and industry sectors. But agriculture comes out as the backbone of Uganda, employing 70% of the population and contributing half of the country's exports and earnings. Agriculture being the main supplier of raw materials for several companies, and it's readily marketed both in urban and rural areas. There are so many chances of the next billionaires coming from agriculture. From the farmers to the processors, from the processors to the traders, and from the traders to the final consumers. We shall be taking you through the whole agriculture chain. My name is Chris Chitaka Haman, and this is Farm Smart, showing every Friday 7 to 8 p.m. only on Smart 24 TV, driving business.
Smart 24, driving business. Many thanks for joining us yet again here on The Polygon, where we discuss social, economical and political matters in the country. I'm Joram Paul Sonko and you're a great viewer of Smart 24 television. Our discussions today are going to rotate around a lot to do with the issue to do with buying quality of products from Uganda. And of course, there have been discussions of boo-boo and everything, but we are going to be digging deeper into the manufacturing sector of the country. Quick one, you should be able to get us now on mainstream. GOTV is channel 320 or from the channel 394, and DSTV is channel 372, as well as we continue to drive your business and give you more details regarding the same. And also, YouTube channel is Smart 24 TV Live. Now, our discussions today on the Polygon, this time around, we'll be rotating around, analyzing the manufacturer's contribution to the social and economical development of Uganda as we trace back a little bit back to the years and currently understanding the position. And of course, joining me on set is the Executive Director of the Uganda Manufacturers Association, that is Dr. Ezra Muhumuza. Many thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much, Joram, for hosting me.
All right. I will start by, first of all, trying to understand how is the atmosphere of Uganda's manufacturers this year, 2023?
The atmosphere is that our growth curve is now moving up. We had some sort of shocks in our production or growth curves in every industry and generally as a sector. But now at least we have feelers that there is a growing trend for improvement.
Okay.
So the general atmosphere is that at least business is beginning to renormalize.
Okay.
Yes.
When you look at now this takes me back to the years. When you look at the evolution of our manufacturing sector, how has it been? By the look of things, by your observation, how have we been growing? Where are the developments and what should we be grateful for?
Thank you very much. The evolution of the industrial sector in this country, to begin, we have to accept that it was by design.
Okay.
The industries that came into this country were first brought in by colonialists, and they were designed on the perspective of aggregating raw materials, take them out for processing, and always bring back the products for this market. That was actually initially not for African market, for European markets and other markets, until when the African market started to develop, that we started to get a share of goods that are produced from our raw materials. And then eventually we went into phase 2. The phase 2 was the independent countries started production of, or started establishing industries that would produce only commodities that were regarded essential.
Okay.
And then these essential products would be rationed, unfortunately, on political grounds, that this section supports this government, therefore can get these commodities. That's when you would hear that these are iron sheets for the army, this is salt for the army, this is sort for, you would get a cheat from a political leader for you to access sugar, for you to get salt. That is, we entered into those phases. That industries were making hose and pangas basically for people to cultivate. So we went into the second phase of industries that were making essential goods for sustaining political regimes. Then we entered into phase 3, where we started production of basic goods for household consumption, which are purely on the market. Then we have now evolved into a third phase, where we are into high-tech industries in Africa, in developing countries. So these are so far the 4 stages that we have metamorphosized into or through as a country, as an industrialization process.
So during this time, you've mentioned something to do with the political interference in one way or the other. And now this brings me to the idea of understanding where are the challenges along the way? Because besides the fact that it actually seemed like most of the people were driving it politically. You've mentioned that some people weren't going into manufacturing of a certain product because it belonged to a certain political party or something. When you look at the other challenges, which are the key challenges or negative sides of the coin have the manufacturers in Uganda faced during this long run?
The long run would be now on the challenges that were faced along the way.
Yes.
Would be, if you ask the question, where are these industries that were politically mooted?
Okay. Are they still around?
They are long gone in terms of ownership by government, because government got stuck
and had to sell it to the
private.
private.
Had to sell them, and others had to close, because they were premised on political manifestation. The employment in there would be on political appointment other than competence-based. The prices for the raw materials were not determined by the market, but would be determined by the political whims. So the political interference into the industrialization process was a self-defeating approach. And that's why we continue to engage government and try to bring them to the table that please let the market operate. Otherwise, any attempt to try to induce industrialization process is a wrong attempt.
Okay.
So the other challenges that relates to that were the power. Power sector by then was indeed self-defeating. There was inadequate power to run industrialization agenda. So it is of recent that you see more industries because you are seeing increased power generated internally in the country. Then the other bigger challenge was always on the market. And that's why you see currently we are endorsing as manufacturers any attempt to enlarge our markets, the regional blocks, the common markets. Now we are going continental. We are always on the door of government, try to say, negotiate bigger markets globally. Engage bilaterals with each country to ensure that we get something that we can sell there. And that's why you see we, of recent, have accepted working with the government to make trade missions that are run through political missions, embassies. We have now moved to commercialization of diplomacy, commercial diplomacy, away from the political diplomacy. It's what works. We are trying to blend the two, the political engagement to open up markets. Otherwise, we have always had that challenge because of Uganda as a country having been working alone. So we endorse the movement into the regions to ensure that we widen the markets. Those are the three major challenges that the industrial processes in 70s, 80s, and maybe early 90s that really we faced.
Well, I want to affirm that the manufacturers are contributing greatly to the employment opportunities that we are actually having in Uganda, because quite a number of young people are employed. But when you look at it in this way, what initiatives are being implemented or worked upon to ensure that we enhance this workforce development from the local space, especially?
The what?
The local space. If you're to look at implementing that the workforce can actually be more professional from the side of the manufacturers.
Yeah, thank you very much on that one. It's a very sensitive issue to the society, to us as a society, and then to us as employers, and majorly to government, whose responsibility, whose contract with the citizenry is to ensure that everyone has an income. And the one way of creating income is to get access to what you can do. But there are major challenges, and we are trying to solve some of those. The bigger challenge that we are getting is the work attitude. We do not want to blame anyone for work attitude. Okay. The work attitude for home, which we call domestic work, differs from the work attitude for community work. And it differs from the work attitude for industrial work. The mentality differs. Now you ask a question, whose responsibility is it to condition this mentality? That you can work home, work in the community, work in public service, and at the same time capable of working in an industry. These are different work centers. Most of the people that are ushered onto the market have the condition for working at home because that's where they grew, and they are taught into school to become public servants. And these are the people that you are ushering out and you say, go and look for jobs anywhere. When they come to the industries, they face a challenge. The skill sets they have are different. Mentality, different.
Expectations high.
Expectations rather high. Someone tells you, I am working, you've been working for 2 years, you expect to have a car on the road. Which industry is going to give 2,000 workers money to buy cars and be on the road, and that market and that industry continues to exist? None. So you will find that the realistic wage in the industry, it's not the industrialist that determines this wage. It's the market where we sell these things that determines how much the industry will get, and then industry translates this income into workers and the entrepreneurs and the investment portions. So these are the challenges that we face. When it comes to what we are trying to do, as Uganda Manufacturers Association, we are getting support. We are working with the government and other partners to ensure that we create a transitional kind of skilling. Someone has finished the university, but we transit them through certain skills that shape them and introduce them and orient them about what happens in the industry, including what the industrialist expects of them, so that we can have them reach and work in the industries.
Okay. Now let's look at promoting technological innovation. If you're to look at this, how is the manufacturing sector contributing to that, to the promotion of technological innovation, and because it does seem to be the future of Uganda's economy?
It's one of the agenda that we're engaging with our manufacturers. We are doing it three ways. Number one, increasing the globalization, the sharing of information that is happening across. Number two, we are breaking the working in silos approach to ensure that a manufacturer in Mbare can interact with a manufacturer in Dubai, as well as a manufacturer in Ushenyi, to ensure that they create knowledge fusion. That's one way. The second way, we are talking with the designers of technology. Before, we had web machinery that would look at numbers. But now we are informing them through our research approaches and feedbacks to ensure that the design of the new technologies is flexible, because tastes and preferences on the market keep changing. Those days it would bring a web machine like the one that prints newspapers. It prints in millions. We have moved away from that web machinery. We are now looking at small machines that are affordable, which I can use to make differentiation. That's why you see our manufacturers, all of them, have different brands and products. Someone says, I am manufacturing a mattress. He will make the one of 6x6, 4x3, 3x3, even 2x2, some as small as that. So we are looking at machinery that can suit existence of a manufacturer on the market, because tastes and preferences do change. Then lastly is embedding into intensive research, because the world is very competitive. And one way of manifesting competition is through technology. If one of the competitors advances ahead of others in terms of technological investment, then the others are bound to get off the market. So we are trying to increase research. You do something today, we tell others that someone is actually has moved to this stage. They also follow. That's how we create growth.
Okay. And of course, I should say it will be something that all the manufacturers will accept to work upon, if I'm to look at that. But besides that, let's look at some of the key sustainability initiatives that have been put in place to ensure that at least the manufacturers in Uganda are benefiting, one, from the environmental kind of atmosphere that we have, and then two, the communities in which they operate. How have they been able to catch up and create this rapport and this relationship that has kept them